Welcome to the Pindown, your Detroit Pistons podcast. I'm your host, Wes Davenport from Motor City Hoops and Detroit Bad Boys.
And I'm Blake Silverman, writer for Detroit Bad Boys, covering everything from the Pistons to the NBA draft and the Motor City Cruise.
And guys, if you are tuning in live with us here on a Saturday morning, first off, as always, thank you. We really appreciate it. Be sure to leave the like, subscribe, all that good stuff really helps us out. But you can see that Blake is not in his usual location. So why don't you let all the viewers kind of know what's going on?
Yeah, I'm out on a trip with the family. We're out in San Diego, which is awesome. It's a great area. It's a little colder than I expected, but it's nice. It's kind of like those gloomy, misty mornings that are pretty nice, but definitely would have packed differently if I knew in advance. But
how
yeah,
cold is it?
apologies.
I didn't think it really got underneath like 60 degrees out that way.
It's right around 60, so it's
Okay,
fine.
Okay. That's
it's
still
fine,
really
but it's just yeah. I can't complain compared to Michigan weather. Although I heard Detroit area is going to be like 55 today, so a little similar.
Yeah, Chicago yesterday was at 48 or so, 47.
Yeah. So I joined the Pistons a bit on their West Coast swing, even though I'm not directly there. And yeah, apologies in advance, everyone, if there's any internet or audio issues. But I'm hoping we can stick it through.
Yeah, guys, if you have any suggestions for things to do in San Diego, now would be the time. It'd be helpful for Blake and the fam. Throw them in. I know it's a looser vacation. My suggestion was the Seals, that little Seal Beach. I can't remember what it's called. But so don't double up on my suggestion. But if someone's gonna make one, put it in the chat.
That's on the list. I think tomorrow we're gonna do the zoo. Because pretty famous zoo over here. So yeah, I'm excited. It's pretty casual though. We're kind of just going where the wind blows. Yesterday we just walked around, watched some surfers.
Nice.
There was like a free flight bird sanctuary that we checked out, which was pretty cool. So yeah, just nice time with the fam over the holidays, and yeah, hope you're Christmas as well, because I think we recorded right before that.
Yeah, we did, and it is going well. It's been nice, just kind of relaxing back at home. No real big plans though on our end. I think you've got us beat with the San Diego trip. Were you blacked out for that Kings game?
I was not, because I watched it on League Pass live and I fell asleep, which is crazy because like I'm on West Coast time. And I still fell asleep, but I thought there was no way that the Pistons were coming back. I was going to watch the rest of the replay the next day, and I woke up and was like, what? The Pistons won? Jaden Ivey did what? And then I got to watch the rest on League Pass, which was nice. I love watching the Pistons on League Pass because normally I'm blacked out and still get it on Bally or FanDuel Sports Network now, but yeah, that's the treat of not being in the Detroit area.
Man, I swear the West Coast game start times are just diabolical. 10 p.m. Eastern time, 10:30 p.m. and it's not even finishing. I think that Lakers game didn't finish up till midnight 30, 1 o'clock. Like, oh my God, I can't keep doing this. They need to come back. This West Coast trip needs to be over.
Yeah, especially it wasn't that one 10:30.
Yeah, it was a 10:30 start time.
Yeah,
I am not my college self. I can't do this anymore. I'm tired, man.
Me neither. When it's 10, that's bad enough. But then 10:30 is bad. Normally I can stick it out if it's like a close game or I don't know, something is going. But that Kings game, I just thought there was. All right, this is like the letdown game after two big wins, and then somehow they pulled that one out. That was crazy.
Yeah, we'll get to it. We should talk about the Lakers game first, but last anecdote for you guys on how late those are and how it affects me. I was texting with Bryce about the Kings game, right? And I was like, we're talking about Keegan Murray, and so I started talking about the forward that they have, and I just kept putting down like Harrison Barnes in my notes. I just get Harrison Barnes, like, I didn't like that. And he goes, "Do you mean DeMar DeRozan?" I went, "Oh my God." Yes, I was so tired. I forgot they switched places because we just watched the Spurs on
Yeah.
Christmas Day, and
Yep.
then
Yep.
and then I flip over and now I'm watching the Kings, and it's just Harrison Barnes is in my head. I was like, oh my God. That's how tired I was. I mixed up two small forwards that swap places over the offseason.
Hey, that's fair on the West Coast trips, especially. I mean, Christmas Day games were incredible. Like that Spurs game was awesome. I thought they were gonna pull that out, but
Oh, the final
yeah,
possession was so bad.
oh yeah, they just didn't even get anything. But I'm excited for the Pistons to get back on East Coast time. I think we might have one more West Coast trip
Yep,
in us though, so
they
we're all.
will.
It's nice how they break it up a bit though.
Yeah, it is. But all right, so let's talk about that Lakers game first. Then we'll kind of get into the fun of the Kings game. What were some of just your general takeaways from that win against the Lakers? I think the final score was a little bit closer than it really was. But of course, that also is partly on the Pistons. They gave the Lakers a shot there late in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, it was nice to see them stick that one out. I mean, it's tough sometimes when you have a young team going up against opponent and a player like that, and then they make a push to make it close, and I feel like bad things can happen from there. Like we saw what happened in that Spurs Knicks game. It was kind of similar, but it was nice to see the Pistons pull this one out against the Lakers. I mean, pretty even performances all around. Like Cade had a good game. He had 5 turnovers, but it wasn't like a signature Cade performance. But he had 10 assists, 20 points, like a great game overall. Jaden Ivey had a great game too. Malik Beasley had 20 points, made 5 threes. That game though, I thought the biggest positive was like Simone Fontecchio had some really strong minutes, and he's had an up and down year. So, and he's played well over this West Coast trip overall. So I think it's nice to see him kind of provide some impact as well. Ron Holland had a good game there too. I think maybe we'll talk about this a little more about when we get into the Kings game, but overall, like Tobias Harris has just kind of been he has been a disappointment. But in general, I feel like you can't really pick out those things when the team is winning these games. So you kind of just take what the positive signs that you can take, and then hopefully Tobias gets out of it and provides some impact. But overall, I was just like happy that the Pistons could pull that one out, especially when a team like the Lakers made it close at the end.
Yeah, and I'm right there with you. This has kind of been the return of Simone Fontecchio, and I'm here for it because they need him. You know, they need the
Yep.
guy that they had down the back stretch of last season. So it's just been nice to see him. It's not quite just being more decisive. I don't think that's part of it, but it's more like he just knows what he wants to do, and he's actually capable of doing it again. I hadn't been of the mind that he had been dealing with the injury, like the ramifications of his offseason injury through the start of the season. I thought he looked pretty good in the preseason. He was moving well, so I wasn't sure. But the bounce back right now isn't just making shots. It's also kind of that basketball feel that he has returning, right? He can get into some of those spaces and be a heady European basketball player like he was. And he's doing that all again. So I'm with everyone now. I've changed my mind. I'm with everyone that said maybe he had a little bit of layover from the rehab stuff over the offseason. It's taken a while, but he's stringing them together now. And I think you're noticing it. I mean, he's been a big part of this little winning streak.
Yeah, well, it's interesting to see because I mean, the past couple seasons when the Pistons aren't playing for anything except maybe trying to lose games to get better lottery odds at the end, when players get shut down like Isaiah Stewart, and I feel like Fontecchio last season was in that group for me. But for me, it's kind of a struggle because you don't really know the severity of the injury because it might just be a little of like, okay, we're not playing in competitive games. Let's play it safe a little bit. So Yeah, I didn't expect it to linger for Simone, but it seems like it has, and seeing him string together a few positive performances, because I mean, I thought his minutes have been pretty impactful. Like you said, it's just a role that the team needs, and if he can be another guy that can at least be an average defender and hit some shots, like that's going to help this team out. So I hope he keeps it up, because overall, I heading into the season, I thought he was going to bring more than he has, but it might have just been a period of ups and downs.
All right, last question here before going on to the Kings game. But what have you thought of Ron Holland kind of on his first big West Coast road trip?
Yeah, I mean, I won't get into it like the Kings game too much, because he it didn't get many minutes in that and didn't do much or anything. But I think overall he just provides kind of a just like a energy that the team needs. And I think overall he's shown, like, I don't think he's a incredibly impactful defender yet, but I think he's shown flashes that he can get to be that. He makes some plays, and also his like package finishing at the rim, I have been pretty impressed with. Like, he's done more in his rookie season than I expected he would. I thought it would take a lot of time, and I think it still will for everything to fully click. But he's shown he's shown flashes. We know he's a heck of a competitor for the just the situations he's got himself into, sticking up for his teammates, which I think is great. I mean, obviously, you don't want to take yourself out of games more often than not, but I think it's awesome that the Pistons have this rookie that plays really hard, can has the possibility to become an electric scorer for this team overall. So yeah, I think he's been good. Although the Kings game, there wasn't much there. I've been really impressed with Holland. I think the Pistons might really have something with him if everything goes right.
So shout out real quickly to a couple of our guys here. We got YouTube user in the chat with the thumbs up. Derek Brown says, "Sup guys, hope all is well. Happy to join in live. Happy you're able to join in live. Thank you both of you guys for tuning in. Back to Ron Holland. I'm right there with you with the defense. He's not been nearly as much of a negative as I had expected, and I'm really impressed with it. I was expecting a lot of getting beat off ball, a lot of backdoor cuts, those sorts of problems, which are, yes, Ron Holland had those issues in the G League, but that's also just 19-year-old problems in the NBA. It happens. It hasn't been all that bad. I haven't seen that happen too much. He's gotten lost in a couple of switches over this road trip. There have been issues here and there, but it's not been to the extent that I thought and that I expected that it would be. And that's been really nice to see, because I'm right there with you. The fact that he's actually more of a neutral defender at this point as a 19-year-old in the NBA, even with some of these off-ball focus issues, is a huge win. It is. It's a huge win.
Yeah, 100%. And I think, like, when the G League Ignite program was disbanded, I was a little upset for a second, just because I thought it was good for the G League to get more eyes on it. But seeing the way Ron Holland's rookie season has played out sort of makes me happy in the end that it was, because coming into the draft, like, one of Ron Holland's negatives was decision making, feel, just because of the turnovers. And I mean, I wasn't super concerned about it, because I knew he wouldn't have nearly as close to as many on ball opportunities in the NBA as he did in the G League. But I just think how JB Bickerstaff has used them, it really just tells you that that whole concern might have been just because of the situation that he was in. So yeah, will Ron Holland grow into more of an on-ball guy if he truly hits, and maybe he's the second option to Cade? Maybe, but I think to get to that point, you have so much time to improve the handle, improve the decision making, stuff like that. So I I've just been happy overall. Like, I think he has a real shot to be a huge piece of this team, and I don't know if there were a ton of guys in this draft, especially where the Pistons were taking, that you could say this about. So, like, Trajan Langdon took a swing. Right now, it looks good. Could that change? Yes, but like the signs point more to it's gonna work out rather than the other option.
All right, let's talk about the fun of that Sacramento Kings win. We got to wait to get into the game winner, so let's hold off on some Jaden Ivey takeaways. But how about we focus on Cade Cunningham, because this was one of the first games in a little while, I think, that the stat line is a bit better than the game I thought he actually played. Right? So he had 33 points, 10 assists, 4 rebounds, 38 minutes. However, 9 of 24 from the floor, 4 of 11 from 3, and oh shoot, ESPN's not giving me the free throws. There we go. He did get to the line
I
a bunch though, which was a
11
big
for
win.
12
Yeah,
from the
11 for
line.
12. What did you think of Cade there?
Yeah, I mean the first half he was kind of just unconscious. Like, he scored 21 of those points in the first half. And I think overall, like, the Pistons got into a stretch in the third quarter where they were just forcing some things and nothing was going down. And Cade was a big part of that. I mean, excuse me. Overall, I think, I mean, 33 points, 10 assists, 4 rebounds, so only like 3 turnovers. It was still a good game for him, just not his most efficient night. Like, it's still pretty incredible to me that the Pistons found a way to pull this game out. Like, I still don't know how that happened. And yeah, I think at the end, just like the gravity that Cade brings, and honestly Malik Beasley too, for that matter, like that last shot that Ivy made, I think the Kings thought it was going to Malik Beasley. So just like the gravity, I think, helped overall, even though it wasn't his most efficient night. But yeah, I mean, we've seen the Cage struggle to get it going or just like go cold a bit at some points, but like, the other side is coming, so it's not a concern. I think, yeah, he might have just been a victim of that stretch, that third quarter stretch that was just so brutal to me, and it was both teams too. It wasn't just the Pistons. So, I mean, they pulled it out because the Kings weren't unconscious when the Pistons couldn't find a bucket. So overall, yeah, I mean, it wasn't the most impressive game, but it says something to say that when the guy still had 33 points and 10 assists.
Yeah, I think that's my takeaway with it too. Like, did I think he played his best game of the season? No, absolutely
He
not.
should have scored 40.
He should have.
Like,
He should have. Yeah, if he made a couple extra shots that were wide open, I had, like you said, in that third quarter, he did have at least two pretty wide open threes that I could think of that he bricked. But look, he still put up that stat line: 33 points, 10 assists, only what was it, 3 turnovers, right?
yep, 3.
Yeah, only 3 turnovers. Fantastic. Um,
Mhm.
the bad third quarter, it really started at the end of the first half. It was really unfortunate. And honestly, I did kind of think the game was over at this point when that, I believe it was about a 6 or 8 point lead, ballooned up to 20 or 22 right near the end. By the end of the quarter, I think they cut it back down to 18 or so. But like that little stretch there where the Kings just couldn't miss and you were already
Mhm.
down, that really felt like the end of it to me. I don't know about you.
Yeah, and that was Malik. Was it Malik Monk who made a 3 at the end of the half?
Yep. Yep. Felt like a
Yeah,
backbreaker.
yep, it really did. And yeah, that's why, honestly, why I went to bed. That was the day I traveled out west, so it was a long day, and I was like, okay, this is the game where it's just a letdown spot after winning 2 in a row, 3 your last 4. I wasn't super concerned by any means, and then something happened where they were able to pull it out in the end. I mean, it's one of the most incredible comebacks I can remember seeing, honestly. But yeah, just a slow start, and I feel like those are expected a bit on the West Coast, especially just after you go to Phoenix, you go to LA, you're spending Christmas on a road trip on the West Coast and everything. So I wasn't concerned, but man, I do not know how they pulled it out still. And I mean, really, it says something about this team that they're down 20 points in the third, 16 in the fourth, and they find a way to pull it out and walk out of there with a win.
That's where I wanted to go to, because I know we don't do the narrative stuff all that often on this podcast, and for good reason. It's pretty empty, I think, most of the time. But this really was a situation where you had so many cards stacked against the Pistons. Like you just said, you're out on a
Hmm.
West Coast road trip. You've been traveling for, I think, 5 or 6 days at this point. I mean, you just played LA, which was an emotional win, right? The Lakers come back at the end, and you're able to hold on and hold back LeBron James and Anthony Davis right before Christmas. So that's a big time win for a young team. They beat the Suns to open up the road trip. So vibes are high, but they're pretty drained. And then the Kings just kind of come out, and you're kind of going punch for punch with them, but you can't quite stick. And all of a sudden, at the end of the second quarter, they just can't miss. They push a lead all the way out to 20 points, and they kind of hold it there into the fourth quarter. The Pistons got close a couple of times. By the end of the third quarter, they had it back down to 10, 12, and then it popped back up in that fourth quarter. And so there's just, I mean, you're tired, you're emotionally drained, and you're young. And and it's a late game, because I'm sure your body's still not 100% adjusted to the time zone by this point. Like we've been complaining about this
Mine
podcast.
isn't,
Yeah, you're not, right? You're
but
up
I'm not a
here.
professional athlete.
Yeah, no, they are
No,
better, but
it's hard no matter who you are.
exactly. So like everything's going against it. So honestly, I think this is a huge win for JB Bickerstaff. I think this is a huge win for Cade Cunningham, Malik Beasley, Tobias Harris, like your team leaders, to kind of just be resilient like that and be able to dig in and come back and hit the Kings late with a push that they just absolutely were not ready for or willing to fight back against. Like that was the narrative on that game is just beautiful.
Yeah, and I mean, for Jaden Ivey to hit that shot, have that big play, together a couple of these performances, like, so big for him. I mean, Ivy has been pretty clutch at times, but overall, he's been
Well, the
a
layup
streaky.
that he hit a couple play or one play before was
Yeah,
huge. Tough layup, tough finish to turn that corner there on, I think Malik Monk was guarding him. I can't remember for sure.
might have been. I remember, I don't know if it was this play, but it was definitely in the fourth quarter. He just had like an in and out, and I think got by Herder and like finished over Monk.
Yeah, that one
And
was nice too. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So just like, I mean, it's nice to see because I feel like Jaden Ivey has been a pretty big talking point, and like maybe he is just a guy who goes through up and downs at certain times. He was also battling injuries, so overall, I think it's just nice to see for him and like how his team really rallied around that. Like I was laughing. I think it was both Malik Beasley and Cade were posting videos of the final play on like their Instagrams, and I think it was Beasley who said like, "Oh, I wish everyone could hear us in the huddle. We were all just saying like that's crazy."
Malik Beasley cut off Jaden Ivey in his post game interview, took the mic basically. He's wearing the headset, but like talked into the mic and said, "Sorry, he's got to be done. We need to go celebrate." Like, yeah, fantastic.
I love that. I love how Beasley does that, by the way. Like I remember he did it when the Pistons after the Pistons won that NBA Cup game in the group stage. I think it was Cade. He was like, "We're going to Vegas, right?" And
Yep.
I mean, we know how that played out, but I love having just a vet who does. And shout out to Malik Beasley too, who just overtook Anthony Edwards for the most total threes made in the NBA this season while coming off the bench, and he's also on pace to absolutely shatter the Pistons
Get the man
all-time
into the 3 point contest. That's all I'm saying. 3 point contest, Malik
yeah,
Beasley, that needs to happen.
if he's not in it, the only reason should be because he doesn't want to do
Yeah,
it,
agreed,
and
agreed.
from what he's said, he wants to do it, so he should be there, and Cade should be in the All-Star game, and Ron Holland should be in the dunk contest too.
That'd be fun. That'd be fun.
That reverse dunk he
He
had
did the
against the
LeBron
Lakers
dunk
was
against LeBron.
yeah,
Awesome.
and it in LA that that was incredible. Such a highlight. So yeah, I hope that we as Detroit followers and fans have stuff at the All-Star game to pay attention to more. But yeah, I thought it was great for Jaden Ivey overall, and then just to see the team find a way to pull that one out. And man, we're a Pistons podcast, so we're not going to go into it, but what a disaster in Sacramento. Like, oh
Yeah.
man.
I'll get back to the game right after this, but Detroit sports teams this season are now, at least as far as I know, responsible for 2 firings of coaches. You got the Lions that ended
Eberflus.
Eberflus, and then now the Pistons just got Mike Brown axed, which, you know, whatever.
And might I add on that, I don't remember if the Pistons were the last game, but I know they were one of the last games after the Bucks parted ways with Adrian Griffin last year and then hired
But they
Doc.
didn't win that game. It
Yeah,
was just
right.
close.
It
Whi
was the
which
that
is a little
decision
bit
was
more
made
hurtful,
already.
actually, if you think about it retrospectively. Like, the Bucks almost lost the game to Detroit, and ownership went, "Good God, no, no, you get that guy out of here." Um,
Oh man,
you know what?
that's
We're
funny.
better than that now. The Pistons win games, and that's what does it now. So we got that going for us. It's a step forwards.
Yeah, I mean that was a brutal collapse, and I mean Mike Brown was definitely the scapegoat. And yeah,
Yeah,
there's a lot of stuff going on over there that isn't good.
it
But
was a
yeah,
bad foul
oh
by
man,
Fox. I'll
yeah,
say that it was a bad foul by Fox, not because he ran out on the 3-point shooter. It's because he grabbed Ivy as he went by him. Like, should have
hmm
just let it go and given up the open shot to a guy that's shooting only 35% from three. So the grab was bad. But even with that, to defend him for a hot second, you don't think he's making that shot. Off
yeah,
balance, his shoulders getting pulled hard to the left. He's just kind of chucking it up. I mean, Jaden Ivey did a fantastic job holding that gooseneck on the ground, which was awesome for the screen, for the photo ops. But there's no way you think he's making that. I know you don't want to take the risk, but there's no way you think. I don't think I've ever seen that in
yeah.
my life. A 4-point play game winner. I can't think of another one.
Oh man, I feel like it sometimes happens in college just because like
Yeah,
the
not in the
miss
NBA
the
though, when everyone knows
yeah.
what they're doing.
Well, I tweeted it out. There was a fan sitting courtside right behind Ivy, and I think he after the foul was called, like while Ivy's shot was still in the air, he just put his head in his hands and was looking down, and I could only imagine like did that fan think the shot Jaden Ivey was just going to the line for 3 free throws, and like I want to know what he thought when the shot went in. It was just incredible, improbable, such a mistake. Like the Kings shouldn't have been in that situation. I
No.
really think they were because they had so much focus on Malik Beasley. Like they thought he was taking that shot, and when it went to Ivy, Fox kind of panicked, and it was just a bad mistake.
Well, they were in that position because they gave up a couple of open threes in a row to Malik Beasley. They did not double quick enough at all when Cade had a mismatch in the post. He was very easily able to get to that little left hand hook across the lane. That was a big shot. That was huge. And then Jaden Ivey getting to turn the corner to get that going across the hoop layup off to the right. That was big as well. Like, all of that is what got them into that spot. And it was just a collapse of their defense entirely. So yeah, yeah, bad stuff. But on the happy side of things for the Pistons end, you're talking about the fan reaction when the shot went up. The moment that shot went up, I like smacked my dad who was sitting next to me. I think he may have been asleep at the time. as soon as Ivy let go with it, I hit him. I was like, whoa, hang on. It looks good. No way. Really?
Yeah, I don't like my wife will sometimes get into basketball games, but overall, like, she doesn't pay attention too much. But this shot, like, I knew what was going to happen because I already saw it on the internet. And when I was rewatching it the next day, when I got to that point, I was like, "Hey, watch this," and she was like, "That's crazy." So that's how I knew it was. Even though I knew it was crazy, that's how I knew it was just like incredible. And I mean, I'm sure we'll get into it a bit, but shout out to Paul Reed and Marcus Sasser. Like, I thought they both provided great minutes. Paul Reed making that 1 3 was huge. I think our guy Laz at DBB tweeted that out, but
Yeah,
that was
100%.
awesome. I liked how Paul Reed like had a 3 point celebration after that because I can't remember the last time he hasn't had many opportunities to put up threes, and Marcus Sasser has just provided some impactful minutes. Like, he's at least been a bit disruptive as a defender, and if you look at the box score, he doesn't pop out at you, but I think he's been solid when called upon, and uh, maybe he finds a way into some more minutes overall. But I just felt overall around the margins, a lot of stuff went wrong in this Kings game, but then once the Pistons started making this push, like, a lot of it wouldn't happen. Like, obviously without their stars, but also those back end of the rotation players are providing huge minutes for you, which isn't something that you've had in years past.
And it's such a tough role for Marcus Sasser, right? I mean, he didn't play, I don't believe, any minutes in the first half. I think all of his 8 minutes were in the third quarter into the fourth quarter. And I mean, frankly, that's a, well, nothing else is working. Let's get Sasser out there at that point in the game, right? And it's not like, you're right. It's not like he blew the doors off and got hot from three. He only had 2 points. He only had one assist and I think one steal. So his 8 minutes weren't statistically incredible, right? He didn't go off in the box score. But I'm with you. I thought he was really impactful as a defender. The Kings treated him as a shooter, so he was obviously helpful with the floor spacing. And I just thought he was solid, which is what the team needed at that point. The wheels were falling off a little bit. They were down almost 20 points. It was, there was a stretch there where I think both teams were shooting under 40% from the floor in the third quarter. Like, nothing was going right. Nothing was going right. And Marcus Sasser came in and was just steady. And that was
Hmm.
exactly what they needed. That helped kind of spark the turnaround there going into the fourth quarter. And you're right. Paul Reed had a great night. Paul Reed was, oh, I just lost it. There it goes. All right. Paul Reed had 7 points. He had 2 assists, 3 rebounds, 2 steals, and a block. Uh, I mean, that's, again, in only 13 minutes. That's big. That's big. That's
Yeah,
that's huge.
yeah, and he's been like, I mean, you can tell. We don't have to get into the whole Duren conversation today, but you can honestly tell the difference when Paul Reed is out there just disrupting things. Like Thomas Hardy brought it up in the chat here, the way Reed hedges out on screens is making a huge difference in our defense. Like, yeah, I think he's like stepping in there, and just the way Duren plays in drop coverage, like sometimes it just gets like a little bit lost and goes out and gets the wrong thing. But overall, I think Reed, although he hasn't been perfect, he's been strong overall. And I know, Wes, I was listening to you, Bryce, and Omari on the Pistons Pulse, and Bryce mentioned how he thinks that Reed should just start a few games while Duren comes to the bench. Like, I think that's a good plan. Although I don't know what it would do, like if that signals the end of the Jalen Duren era. But I think overall, just the fact to when you have a fully healthy front court, the fact that your third guy is Paul Reed and he's been able to make an impact off the bench, like I think I think that's been huge for the team as well. So overall, it just feels like although the roster, I wouldn't say it's necessarily one of the deepest in the league. Like these guys are competing, which is all you can really ask for.
This is the deepest roster the Pistons have had since when?
Yeah. a,
I mean,
a
look,
long time.
it's been a long time. Like even the Blake Griffin playoff team, that was not a deep team. They signed Wayne Ellington off the street after the trade deadline, and he started games for them. Like that, I think you might have to go back to the playoff appearance before that when you had young Reggie Jackson, Kentavious Caldwell Pope, and Andre Drummond. I I think that might be the last time the Pistons were even remotely three deep at a couple positions instead of the usual zero with NBA players. I don't know. You take a
Yeah.
stab at it if you want. Then I got one more thing before we go on to questions.
No, no, I'm with you, but I just think this current team, like it helps when you have guys like Asar Thompson who missed the start of the season for injury, ease them back in. Like I know Bobby Clintman is back active. We haven't seen him yet, but you don't you're not like waiting on your heels for some of your young players because you have other guys that you can go to, and when you need them, it seems like they're ready, which isn't always the case. So, yeah, overall, I've been impressed with it, and yeah, it seems up and down the roster. Like we've even seen great minutes from
Yeah.
Wendell Moore at
Yep.
points in this season. So, like, you can't. I feel like you can't really single out anyone on this team.
No, I agree. And our guy Mateus from Brazil says the Pistons are hotter than his city, Brazil. Fantastic. Yes, they are. Hopefully, they can kind of complete this West Coast swing. I want to say one thing quickly on Jalen Duren because I don't think he played fantastic in that Kings game, but he had four stocks. He had four
Yep.
stocks, two steals, two blocks, and that's what you want to see out of Jalen Duren right now. Like that is that middle ground that you hope to see this entire season, where he's still not a good defender, but he's making those impact plays that he's capable of doing. He is a physical specimen. He can jump out of the gym. He's strong as an ox, and he's pretty quick on his feet for a guy his size. So yes, like a couple passing lane tips to get the steals, a couple of low side help, block shots, even if he's letting Trey Lyles have a really nice night and Alex Len be a little bit more impactful than a guy like Alex Len probably should be in his minutes. Like you take those downsides and then you get the upside of the impact defensive playmaking, right? The defensive plays. And that's what you want to see. So I hope to see more of this out of Jalen Duren. I thought for his expectations, this was a strong night.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times when you you see Jalen Duren like make a nice defensive play, like a lot of times there's been a late foul call, and you can tell like it's kind of like a backbreaker for people watching, and then you can tell like how disappointing that is for Duren. So just the fact that he had a few of those, there was one of those blocks came pretty late too. That was a good play. I mean, honestly, I was a little worried
I
it was going to
believe
get
on
called.
DeMar DeRozan
Yep. Yeah, I was a little worried it was
or
going to get
Harrison
called
Barnes
a
if you're looking at my notes.
that's great. But yeah, I was worried that was going to get called a foul, but it was nice to see him make those plays down the stretch too. So, yeah, overall, like, although you can tell the difference when like an Isaiah Stewart or a Paul Reed is out there. Like you said, want you need your center to be somewhat disruptive defensively, like he was at points in the Kings game.
Right. Well, it's kind of like what we were talking about earlier with Ron Holland, right? When you have young players and you're hoping that they improve to become good defenders in the future, what you want in the meantime is neutral, right? You want a guy that's given up some plays on defense, but's also creating them and it offsets. So they're not a great defender, but they make as many bad plays as they make good plays. And when you're talking about a 19 or 21-year-old, you're going to live with that. That's how it goes. That's the case. Usually guys aren't Asar Thompson and they walk out in year one and are just incredible on defense. So the fact that we got that against the Kings from Jalen Duren. I think that's a huge win, and I hope that we continue to see more of it. Let's get into a couple of these questions here. We got 2 from Derek Brown in our live chat that we'll hit, and we had 1 submitted from the DBB comments. And I know you got a time limit, so we'll dive on in. This first one, both of these questions actually are sticking with that 5 position, but Derek Brown first asks, is Paul Reed and Isaiah Stewart basically the same talent level, but Reed is making about $8 million less than Beef Stew?
Man, that's a good question. Like, initially, my gut reaction is like Isaiah Stewart has just been such a good rim protector this season. Like, I mean, he always is, but I feel like it's just really stood out this year, and especially for a player at his size. Like, obviously, he's a big dude, but just not the tallest dude. I feel like he's just been so incredible in that sense. The interesting thing is, at least through this point, I think JB Bickerstaff has used his big men in a specific way, in the sense like I don't know if they're ever gonna have a ton of offensive opportunities, but like maybe they're not supposed to. And the thing is, right now, where this team is, like, I feel like you need both Isaiah Stewart and Paul Reed, like, obviously when there's injuries going on, but if everyone's healthy and it's a night where Duren's starting, Stu's coming off the bench, like, one of them gets into early foul trouble, like, you need Paul Reed. Or if it's a situation like Wes, you brought up how Marcus Sasser was used, like, if you just need to go to Paul Reed one night for an off-speed pitch. What you think is interesting, and I know we'll get into it in the next question, is like, what does it mean for the future if there's a different center that gets added into the mix? But right now, where this team is, I think like they both bring a little bit of different things, and especially while Jalen Duren has questions as a defender, it's nice to have both of them who you can go to when you need it.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like, I think Isaiah Stewart is the best big man on this roster. He's the most solid big man for sure. You know, you could play him in just about any pick and roll coverage you want. Like you mentioned, he's been one of the best rim protectors in the league, even though the block numbers aren't there. His contests and his field goal percentage against at the rim are both among the tops, among the best. So Isaiah Stewart would be an extremely hot commodity if he got onto the trade market. I suspect he's the type of player, and we've said this before, none of this is new, right? He's the type of player that if you're making a deep playoff run, you want Isaiah Stewart. You can't beat him by forcing switches, and you can't beat him with size either. He's kind of that perfect defensive big who's not a negative on offense. You know, he'll hit a 3 every now and then. You can't throw lobs to him, but he's got halfway decent hands and touch around the rim, and he's a pretty good offensive rebounder. So Isaiah Stewart is, I would say, the best performing big man on the Pistons roster, and would be very in demand across the league, where Paul Reed would not. But what's fun about Paul Reed and why I think he stands out so much is that he's got a little bit of uniqueness to him. So, like you said, he's kind of a counterpunch. He can be a counterpunch. I completely agree. He's the quickest big man on the Pistons roster, and we're starting to see JB Bickerstaff lean into that, right? We're seeing Paul Reed hard hedge and going out to trap a lot on ball screen coverages instead of the usual drop or flat that we've been seeing, or occasionally ice. We're seeing the hard hedges and the traps, and sometimes he's just sprinting at guys out on the perimeter and leaving his assignment to go just try to cause some havoc, and it's working, right? It's fun to watch, and it's working. So he's unique because he is so small. He's so quick. He's a little bit more offensive minded, but he plays his butt off on defense. I like Paul Reed. I think he's fun. I'm with you and with YouTube user though. So he says that every team needs about 3 true bigs to start the season. And yeah, I think Paul Reed is one of those guys where you're just so incredibly happy to have him as a third big, just in case this happens, right? Isaiah Stewart goes out, and now you got a guy who can play competent NBA minutes for 10 to 20 a night. And when Stewart comes back, then he goes back to being on the very end of the bench until the next time he's needed. It's a tough role to be in, but it's really valuable.
Yeah, 100%. And who knows, like, what this big man rotation looks like in the future. But overall, I think just they each bring something unique. And like YouTube user mentioned with like the offensive gravity. I mean, sometimes I think Paul Reed like calls his own number and it's just like, oh no, but sometimes it works
He
out.
does.
So it's like,
Who was the
it's pretty
player that
funny.
was like that with, I feel like it was maybe with the Lakers. I'm thinking of Nick Young.
Nick Young.
Yeah,
Yeah.
where he'd be out there and you could see it in his eyes and be like, "Oh, it's Nick Young time. Look out."
Yeah.
He's got
Paul
a streak
Reed
of that
has a
for
bit of
sure.
that to him, which I mean, obviously if it's in clutch time and like or maybe just in general you don't want him to go to it, but like sometimes it works out and it's just fun. That's why his name is B-ball Paul, I guess.
Another big, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, that used to be a little bit like that. Remember JaVale McGee? There used to be
Oh yeah.
stretches where you could just tell it's JaVale McGee's time. He's gonna go for it. How it ends up, we don't know. I think Paul Reed has a higher success rate than JaVale McGee ever did. But
Hey,
that
you got
was
to make the most of
yeah.
your opportunities as a player, I'm sure, especially when you're in those roles.
I think Paul Reed and Malik Beasley are the most frequent culprits on the Pistons for they're out on the court, they look to the sideline at the scorer's table, they see they're about to come out, couple shots are going up. I love it. I love it. I love the
Oh
mindset. Like I'm coming out anyway. What do I have to lose? I'm
yeah.
getting them up. It's fun. I love it.
I'm
Genuinely,
gonna
I
be
love it.
paying attention to that more now.
It's fun. So let's go to this one here. This is Derek Brown again, since we're just sticking with the bigs. But he says, what are the chances that Jalen Duren is the starting center next year? That's a tough question.
It is. If I had to, okay, I'm gonna say I'm leaning towards he's not the starting center next season. If I had to put like a percentage toward it, just because I'm not sure like what his market is on the trade value uh, to other teams on the trade market. I right now I don't see him getting an extension this offseason when he becomes extension eligible. But if he isn't moved, I could see the him just playing it out with the Pistons and maybe starting that way. So I think I'll put it at a solid like 65% he's not the starter, 35% he is. Um, just because I could see a world where a decision isn't made and they want like Trajan wants to see what Duren could do with one more year playing it out. But right now I think I'm just leaning towards no because you need your starting center to be some sort of positive defender. And although we've seen those plays at times with Duren, it's just not been going great. So I'd have to lean no right now.
Well, you could count on one hand the number of games so far this year where Duren's been a positive defender, right? There have been quite a few games where I do think he's gotten a neutral, and that's pretty good. But
Hmm.
I was going to say 70-30, 70 going to the no side. Look, it's just such a tough position, and you and I have talked about it a little bit off the show, but they're kind of getting now into an awkward spot team building wise where we are learning a lot about all of these young players this season. We've learned a lot,
Hmm.
and we were kind of stolen from that the past year, right? With how all the Monty Williams stuff went, we didn't really get to learn a lot. Now we are, and we're learning that Jaden Ivey is certainly a little bit of a roller coaster, but his peaks are higher than they used to be, right? We've learned that, right? So, and they're more consistent. So I would feel pretty comfortable extending Jaden Ivey, certainly not at a max or anything close to it,
Yeah.
but I would feel comfortable saying, okay, I know for a fact Jaden Ivey is looking like he's a starter in the NBA for a while. How much higher he goes than that, let's find out, right? You want to keep mining that. we're learning with Ron Holland, right, that he's a lot further along than we thought. And we're learning that Cade Cunningham is well and truly the guy, and he's ready to win right now. Jalen Duren, on the best case, is we're learning he needs a lot more time to be a plus
Mm,
defender and to really reach the potential that Troy Weaver and many others think that he had and thought that he had when he was drafted. Yeah, so I'm with YouTube user. Like you can't extend him right now. He's not shown that he's worth sending that guaranteed money to. So I suspect as well that he's going to end up being a restricted free agent, which was YouTube users' comment. Sorry, I didn't read that out. I just flashed it up on the screen. So yeah, I would anticipate he goes into restricted free agency. I don't know. I don't know, but I don't have a good guess as to whether he's restricted free agent for Detroit or someone else. They're just kind of in an awkward spot, right? Like next year, you need another step forward because Cade keeps improving and he keeps becoming and showing that he's that guy. So you want to win games, and so next year you need a starting center who can help. You need a starting center who
mhm.
can defend, who can block shots, and hopefully, again, hopefully, oh no, that's way too much. Thomas Hardy says that I'm spitting some wisdom and I need to be a Trajan's assistant. I no, I don't. Give that to Bryce or Blake. That's what I'm thinking.
Oh, no, no,
Um,
no. You're discrediting yourself.
I just wouldn't go that far. But thank you. I
Humble
appreciate
guy.
it. Yeah, sure. I'll take it. I'll take the humble guy. That's fine. Um, look, you just need to take the step. That's the point. You need to take the step. Jalen Duren, what we're learning this year, unless something really changes down the back stretch, is that he's not ready for that. Maybe he's ready in the future, so you want to keep him around and you want to keep him as a restricted free agent and give him a cheap contract and all that stuff. So you can kind of extend this timeline and have him as your backup. And for the record, I think that Jalen Duren would be a really good backup right now. So if you want to move on from Stewart and get someone else in that's a starter and keep Duren as your backup, I'm for it. I get it. I think he'd be great. He'd be a great backup. But as a starter, I just think it's asking too much.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, I could see Duren getting moved at this trade deadline. Like, if there's
Mm-hmm.
a deal on the table and the team staying afloat with Isaiah Stewart and Paul Reed for the rest of the year, and maybe you bring like a third big back or sign someone. But yeah, over like the unfortunate thing is we don't know about the trade market until we know. But I could either see that or during heading into restricted free agency, like you mentioned. So we'll see, but I think the Pistons starting center for the future is likely not on the team right now.
Yeah, I agree. And like the tricky part with the trade thing, at least this go around, is like how out is Trajan Langdon right now? Right? Does he
Mhm.
want more time? Does he want like a couple of years more time, but on the right deal? Does he is he done now? Because I can't imagine that the trade market for just Jalen Duren is any stronger than it was for Sadiq Bey at the time.
Mhm.
Right. So YouTube user says that he doesn't think Jalen Duren has trade value, and he doesn't think that Trajan trades him for a second. I agree. I would expect it to be like 3 seconds, right? 3 or 4 seconds, similar to
I
what
mean,
Sadiq
Sadiq
got.
Bey was like he was like 5, right?
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
like
He
the
was
Pistons
4 or 5.
got 5 and then flipped them for Wiseman,
Yeah,
I
exactly.
think.
Yeah, right. So that would be if it happens. That would be my guess. If it's just straight up, more likely is probably as a young throw-in piece. You know that kind of tilts the scales a little bit. You're trying to make a move for a specific player. The other team's thinking, I don't know. But instead of a second round pick, here, how about you have this guy? You're going to get half of a season to decide if you want to extend him or not. Former lottery pick, like the upsides there. I could see that being as like the throw in to like tilt the scales in your way so the deal gets done. But yeah, just straight up, it's tough. It's tough because I'm with YouTube user too. I don't think like a second. No, that's not worth moving on, and that just might be what the
Mhm.
market is. So rough spot, tough spot.
100%.
All right, let's close it out on this one. We're going to just keep going with the future forward look. This is from Dave, 10.9 miles north of LCA in the DBB comments. Will the Pistons keep their first round pick, Blake? What do you think?
I'm gonna say yes. It's protected 1 through 13. So I mean, if they make the playoffs, they won't. But I don't know. I'm just gonna lean toward this team isn't ready yet. Although they could still make the play in, but lose and keep this pick. So I'm just gonna lean that they keep it right now. I think they want to have another crack at the lottery, especially when the top of the draft is definitely better than last year's. So yeah, although it would be fun to see this team make the playoffs. I think we might be a season away from that.
Well, the alternative, right, is they could potentially keep the pick in terms of the trade, right? They won't owe it to anybody, but as soon as that pick becomes official, like on draft night, they can trade the pick. So
Yeah,
that's possibly on the table. I'm with you though. You've said this multiple times before, and you've convinced me of it. I think that the way this is all setting up, it just looks like Trajan wants one more bite at the apple. All right, wants to dip his toe into the draft water one last time. You've already got Ron Holland. That's looking like a very strong pick in an otherwise fairly weak draft. And then you can dip your toe in one last time here. You get an exciting young prospect for the future. And then you go and you start spending a bunch of money and you make a bunch of trades and you try to upgrade that roster pretty quickly, whether that be tail end of the offseason, like we've seen in the past with the Pistons right before training camp, making a couple of trades or making a trade to upgrade, or at that trade deadline, making a move like we've talked about before, like of the ilk of Brandon Ingram or Zach LaVine, like that type of buy move at next year's deadline, not this one. That would make a lot of sense. But before doing that, getting that one more bite at the apple, see if maybe we could do one more homegrown star like Cade Cunningham is, like maybe Ron Holland could be, get one more of those guys and then ramp it up and see if you can win a bunch of games.
yeah, and I think maybe if the pick was like top 10 or top 8 protected this year, it would be a bit more tricky. But I just think where it's at, like I'm fully expecting them to be in this draft, and they also own the
Me too.
Raptors pick at the top of the second round too. YouTube user mentioned he could see them drafting a second round center. Like, yeah, I'm with that. I don't see a ton of bigs at the top of this draft that are worth taking a swing on over some other players available then. So yeah, unless there's like a crazy run, this winning streak is like here to stay or something. Like I think this team will be back in the draft next year, which is a good thing.
Yeah, agreed. And like, look, when you're looking at the standings right now, it looks good. They are still ahead of the 76ers, which I just feel like can't last. I know that team's got a lot of dysfunction going on, but man, is there a lot of talent over there in Philadelphia. So yeah, maybe they do it. If they do it and they make the play in, I'm going to be extremely excited. I'm just not expecting it. So I'm with you. I think
Yeah,
I think they keep the pick twice is what I'm saying. I think that they do not have to convey that selection through that trade, and I think that they actually do then make the selection instead of trading it off. The only change to that, maybe if you're literally picking 13th
yeah,
and something else comes up. But at that point, the 13th pick, like it's valuable, but it's not, Brandon Ingram valuable at that point,
right.
right? You'd be pushing up higher to get into that sort of stratosphere. So yeah, I keep the pick twice. That's my point.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there 100%. And maybe they get in a situation where someone falls and another
Right.
team's in love with them. They make a trade that way. But yeah, I think they'll own the pick and make the pick too.
All right, Blake, I know you had a time limit here and we're right up against it. So thank you for squeezing in an episode here on your family vacation. Enjoy the
Oh, dude,
seals and
no,
the
this was
zoo and,
great.
and all
We
the
got to
fun, man.
talk about this streak, man. It
Oh
was
my gosh.
awesome.
It is. It is. This is one of the most fun stretches of Pistons basketball in a while. This has been awesome. And it's helping the Cade All-Star narrative. I mean, it's only wins this week. Only wins.
100%. It's been great. I'm excited to watch them in Denver and see them get back home. Wes, hope you have a great New Year's. Hope everyone listening with us live has a great New Year's, rest of the holiday season. Reminder, you can call our phone line to ask a question, hear your voice on the show. The number for that is 313-355-2717. And special thanks to Sean Korf, the managing editor of Detroit Bad Boys, for supporting the show. And shout out to you guys for all the great questions and talking points today. We'll catch you next week, whether on your commute or live with us on YouTube. We can't wait to talk more Detroit basketball with you all.